been a troublemaker, I've been a late night player, I've been broke as a joke, I've been a money maker, I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator, I've been known to spit the flows and make the shaky, shaky thing, popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk, we gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger, make my Jaeger just a little.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis. Not live today,
no,
actually.
We are not live.
Live on videotape.
Yeah.
Is it live or is it Memorex?
No,
we are
no,
on
it's
tape delay, filming this show on a Tuesday to air in our usual time slot, Thursday, October 10th. Of course, I was on vacation last week, and we did not want to miss a second week in a row, even though we had some scheduling conflicts for Thursday night's live show. So here we are.
So, Scott, did you leave your heart in San Francisco?
I left my heart in San Francisco. Let me tell you, it's San Francisco and the entire Bay Area, the Napa, Sonoma Valley area, the coastline down to Big Sur, Monterey, quite spectacular. I had been there before, but it was a while ago, and it was nice to refresh my memory and see all that is wonderful out there. Very nice.
How was the weather?
Great time of year to go. That's why we chose this time to go, and we were rewarded with wonderful weather. Windy for the most part, but actually up in the 70s and sunny, which is not typical for San Francisco. We had like one cloudy day. Other than that, it was pretty much 70s and sunny.
Yeah.
And very nice.
That's good.
Very nice. Of course, I'm speaking to my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Roth Jr.
Yes, you are.
As we see a nice photo of him and our very own, Comcast's very own Dave King from their appearance at the SNYRA event, Southern New York Racing Association, a couple weeks ago.
We had a blowout. We had the biggest crowd ever, and yes.
Very good. So, and that's a great shot of the two. And if you're a fan of Dave King music, I believe right now, because it is Danbury Fair week, he is offering a free download of his Danbury Fair song.
Yes, it's a little bit of a change in the acoustics.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Well, I don't believe I have that one in my collection yet. I did see on Dave King Music that he is offering that. So if you search out Dave King Music, you should
just
be able
brand
to
new.
find
We
it.
just recorded it recently.
Oh, very good. And Dave does a lot of good music, and he offers some free downloads every now and then. So follow him and find his music.
He'll be this weekend, and at the Danbury Palace Theater.
Oh, is he really?
Yes, they're having a whole big thing about the Danbury Fair.
I see Art Garfunkel is playing at the Danbury Palace soon too, or maybe it just happened. That's nice to see the Palace having events, and so there's a special Danbury Fair.
Saturday night from, I believe it starts at 7:30.
All right, so if you're in the area Saturday night looking for some history on the Danbury Fair, looking for some music, head over to the Danbury Palace. What did you say before we started the show?
44th, and it would be this week.
This week is the 144th anniversary of what was the great and legendary Danbury Fair. And Spotlight on doing any Danbury Fair stuff?
Yeah, we matter of fact tonight we will. Well, you won't be seeing this but it'll be on next week as well.
So Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock, Wednesdays at noon. You can look for some stuff on Bob's show, Spotlight On. And of course, our guy in the control room, Mike Toohey, Expose Cinema, his show, Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. We are taping his special Halloween show. I'm not sure when that's going to air now, even though we're taping it this week.
It's going to air on the 23rd.
On the 23rd. So later in the month, look for the special, and that's a Wednesday, not his usual Friday slot, I think, right? So look for the Expose Cinema Halloween special. And also,
8 o'clock?
A quick note that Peter Green is helping us in the studio again.
8 o'clock on the 23rd.
8 o'clock on the 23rd. A little shout to Peter Green, who's been part of the crew lately.
Well, yes.
He's becoming a regular. I don't know. Are we going to have to start counting on him?
He's a big Sox fan.
And he's a big Red Sox fan, so we like that. Let's get to some baseball, Bob. Of course, we're doing this show on tape on Tuesday.
Yes.
Airing on Thursday, so we're in a little bit of a weird spot. The series are ongoing and could be over by the time this show airs. Last night, the Sox did try to finish the sweep of the Tampa Bay Rays.
But them Rays wouldn't go
They
away.
wouldn't go quietly. It was 3-0. About the fifth inning, I believe it was, when Evan Longoria connected on a 3-run shot off Clay Buchholz to tie this game at 3. And then the Rays did end up taking a 4-3 lead late in the game, 8th inning, but Boston scraped across a run against their closer in the top of the 9th. And ultimately, though, it was Lobaton, the little used sub, coming off the bench, backup catcher, who connected for a walk-off home run against Boston's closer, which was shocking to see. So they were stunned absolutely by the Tampa Bay home run there in the 9th inning to win it and force a Game 4. Red Sox, of course, lead the series 2-1 at present. This game will be taking place tonight, Tuesday night.
Yes.
So it could be over by the time the show airs Thursday, or there will be a Game 5 taking place Thursday night in Boston. The Red Sox pretty much had their way with Tampa in the first 2 games up in Fenway. Here we're looking at manager John Farrell getting the ground rule instructions, and this will begin my tirade portion of the show.
Let it all out.
The dump that is Tropicana Field, where they play in a stadium that has a roof that isn't high enough off the ground.
No, so when the ball goes straight up in the air, it hits the roof and.
And this really cost the Red Sox dearly, as in the 4th inning, Buchholz cruising with a lead in this game. He gets what should be a first out of the inning on a foul pop-up that goes straight up in the air over the catcher's head, comes down, and the catcher hits it or catches it. Unfortunately, the ball deflected off the ceiling, or a ring around the ceiling, or a speaker hanging from the ceiling. And they call it a dead ball because they deem it hit that in foul territory. Never mind the fact that it went straight up and the catcher had to take 1, maybe 2 steps to make the catch on this ball, and it's an automatic out. And also in that at bat, I will say, the umpire decided to get involved.
Yeah.
He should have been struck out on the 4th pitch of that at bat before that foul pop even took place, but he called it a ball. And then after this ridiculous ruling that allows this at bat to continue, on the 3-2 pitch, he throws another strike that the ump calls a ball, and he ends up walking the batter. So he then struck out the next 2 batters, which should end the inning.
But
instead, he goes with a pitch count entering that inning at 40. He ends up having a guy on base, and it should go 1, 2, 3. He then has to get a 3rd out that he should not have to get, which really is a 4th out. He didn't get it. Loney, who's red hot, comes up with a base hit. So now there's 2 men on, and then he's got to go ahead and face another guy who he ends up walking to load the bases. He finally gets a strikeout after that. But the pitch count, instead of being out of that inning, 1, 2, 3, coming out at about 55, he ends up throwing 34 pitches in this inning, Bob, because of a ridiculous ground rule and a ridiculous dump of a ballpark that is a disgrace to the game itself that Tampa Bay plays in. So he throws 34 pitches in that inning.
The control room says, let us really know what you think.
The place is a dump. That's what I think of the Trop. Burn the place down, get them out of there, play in a real ballpark. It's a joke. So he did get out of that inning unscathed by the scoreboard, but the pitch count, and he was clearly not the same after that. And then also in baseball, you got to keep your eye on the batting order getting overturned.
Right.
Longoria would not have come up in the 5th inning
Right.
again after this happened, because he would have been farther down the lineup if it wasn't overturned and guys kept coming up, because he had to face extra batters in that inning. And then, lo and behold, here comes Longoria in the next inning when he never should have even been up. He hits the 3-run homer to tie it. Buchholz could have maybe gone 7, if not possibly into the 8th inning if this didn't happen. Instead, he's out after the 6th. You're into your bullpen sooner, which led to them going to Workman in the 8th inning instead of one of the other guys who would have been in that spot. And that led to the 4th run being scored and the Rays taking the lead. So it is, changes the whole dynamic of this game by this ridiculous play. So anyways, the Rays do get the walk-off in the 9th, and we'll see what happens as this show airs on Thursdays, if it is over or not. Jake Peavy going against Hellickson, I believe, in Game 4 down in Tampa Bay. Hopefully this doesn't haunt the Red Sox. They still have the advantage 2-1. They still have Game 5 back at home if needed. They should be fine, but disappointing to let the Rays off the hook down there in Tampa Bay instead of getting the sweep. The other series going on, 3 out of the 4 series are in progress as we speak. Oakland up 2-1 on Detroit after losing Game 1 at home. They come back and get the second game in Oakland, and then Game 3, 6-3 in Detroit. Cabrera does not look himself, Bob.
Nah.
He's been hurt down the stretch, playing through pain, and he's just not as dangerous. And here we also see that things got a little testy late in that game. Tempers flaring as Oakland was closing that one out. So that series is still going. That could end easily in Game 4, or it would be Game 5 back in Oakland on Thursday night. The Pirates had a chance to finish off their deal,
but
they could not do it as they were almost nearly no hit in Game 4, up 2-1 in Pittsburgh, looking to finish off St. Louis at home. They could not get that done as Waka Waka Waka, the kid who's been on fire really down the stretch of the season, had a no-hitter going into the 8th inning. The only hit he allowed was a home run. And Charlie Morton, the local Reading kid, Joe Barlow, pitched a great game as well. He only gave up a 2-run homer, was the only blemish on his game. And the Pirates lose this game 2-1 to St. Louis. They did have runners on base in the 9th inning as they were trying to get it across. McCutchen could not get it done as he flew weakly to shallow center field to end that game. So their series will definitely be over by the time the show airs on Thursday, as the Game 5 decisive game will be on Wednesday in St. Louis. We're looking to see the Pirates advance as they have captivated their city and gotten back into the postseason. The other thing, we'll quickly just mention the Dodgers did go ahead and finish their series against the Braves, and this was controversial only in the sense that they went with Kershaw on 3 days rest. It almost backfired because they were losing this game 3-2 in the 8th inning before they got the 2-run homer by Uribe, who was trying to bunt. Actually, as Puig led off with a double, he was trying to put down the bunt to get Puig to third base to get him in scoring position to tie the game, but he did not get the bunt down twice, and he ends up going ahead and blasting away 2-run homer that won the game, put them up in the 8th inning, and then they closed them out in the 9th with 3 straight strikeouts.
So Dandy Don Valley gets
He
to
rolled
be
the
in a
dice.
playoff for finally after all these years.
And they win the series, but it was kind of a risky move with Kershaw going on 3 days rest for the first time in his career. And, he wasn't great. He did give up 2 runs, and they ultimately were down as he came out after only 6 innings. But they are done with the Braves. All right, so the other baseball issues I want to talk about. First, we'll mention quickly, we have a new nickname for one Alex Rodriguez to join to the many A-Rod, K-Rod, E-Rod, Stray Rod, Hey-Rod.
What's the new name?
Sue-Rod.
Sue-Rod. I'm going to sue Major League Baseball. I'm suing the Yankees. I'm suing everybody.
Sue me. Sue you.
Yeah.
He's suing the team doctor.
Yeah.
He's suing the Yankees. He's suing Bud Selig.
Yeah.
They're claiming witch hunt. They're going all after MLB baseball as the appeal of his suspension is still ongoing. But yes, Surod is the new nickname
Surod.
for A-Rod. And the other things about baseball I wanted to talk about, Bob. So basically, all right, so the Rays are now still alive, right?
Right.
Let's backtrack to before we went on vacation, what was going on in the regular season. They and the Texas Rangers were both collapsing,
Right.
while the Cleveland Indians were doing the right thing by winning their last 10 games
Right.
and moving ahead of these two teams that were collapsing. So what were the Rays and the Rangers' reward for their collapse falling out of what should have been the playoff positioning?
Bye.
Not really, with the new second wild card.
Yeah, it's
That is added the situation that allows teams to collapse
Yeah.
and still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Tampa then got to have a one-game play-in against Texas, who collapsed even worse than them because they were winning, not only leading the wild card standings, but they were leading the
Right.
division standings. So
Yeah.
they blew the division to the A's. They blew the wild card to Cleveland and Tampa. They still got a mulligan and were able to play a play-in game that they lost to Tampa. So Tampa beats them, and they get now a one-game wild card playoff to Cleveland, who steamrolled past them and had already eliminated them, should have. And then they end up losing this game to Tampa. So Tampa wins that one-game playoff. So they get the reward of sticking around after blowing
Yeah.
the wild card lead.
Yeah.
Nice job, Major League Baseball. On the other end of the spectrum, in the National League, imagine this, Bob. Pittsburgh goes ahead and sweeps Cincinnati
Right.
on the final weekend of the series. What's their reward for that?
they play him again.
They have to play a one-game wild card. Thankfully, they go ahead and beat them a fourth straight time. But could you imagine if they go ahead and sweep Cincinnati
Yep.
and then they lose the one-game playoff and Cincinnati's in? I mean, come on. What is this second wild card thing really doing for baseball and the one-game playoff? It is not adding anything extra. I said this last year. Everybody's saying it's keeping teams in it. All these teams were within striking distance anyways of the one wild card spot and or a division spot. So it's not adding any extra spots. All these teams would have been playing hard down the stretch anyways because they were right there in striking distance. It's just allowing bad teams a mulligan and a chance to get one game to go ahead and advance. All right, so that's my tirades on baseball and what's going on there.
Well, we still don't know about what's going on with the Yankees because we're.
Well, they got a lot of stuff going on. We'll sort all that out as the offseason goes into place with who is end up playing for them and who isn't. But we probably don't have enough time to really get into that right now. Let's shift gears to football, Bob, because the games have been finished,
Yeah, I've
and
been
we can
having-
actually talk about them decisively.
I got a big goose egg.
You want to get right to your Giants
Might as
first?
well get right to
Get the garbage out of the
meat.
way. Speaking of the trop being garbage
Yeah.
and a dump, what is going on with your New York Football Giants, Bob? The G-men.
The G-men
Oh.
don't have that fire
There's
this year.
actually people talking about benching Eli Manning at this point, Bob. All right, through 5 games, third team in history to allow 30 plus points allowed in their first 5 games. Second team to have 3 or more turnovers in each of their first 5 games. Most points allowed since 1967 through 5 games. Eli, first Super Bowl quarterback ever to go 0-5 at any point in his career after winning a Super Bowl. And interestingly enough, Big Ben Roethlisberger of the Pittsburgh Steelers could join him on that week. They
Yeah.
had a bye week this week, so he's only sitting at 0-4.
Yeah.
He might also go into 0-5 territory as well. And so your Giants lose to the Eagles, who are sitting tied atop the division at
And the thing is,
2-3.
And the thing was, Vic's hurt. He's out. And
Vic's out,
And they used
which I
the
think might be
backup.
good for the Eagles. As that kid came in and looked good, I think that they might be looking to ditch Vic anyways. We will see how that story plays out. But the Giants 0-5. They play on Thursday night short rest at Chicago, who has now lost 2 straight after being 3-0. So we'll see what's going on with the Bears up there in Windy City Thursday night. And then you get your next game, I believe, is a Monday night against Minnesota. So you get 2 primetime games here.
And we can get 2 more primetime losses.
You could go to 0-7, Bob. This is horrible. Wilson, who's been a disaster to begin with, he's out this week with injury. You have no running game. You have no defense. You have nothing.
No.
Nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing you have, Bob, is that you play in the NFC least.
Yeah.
Not the beast of the East.
No.
It's the least of the East, where the division leader is 2-3.
Yeah.
Philadelphia tied with Dallas.
Yeah.
Unbelievable what's going on in this formerly, beastly division. NFC East, not so good. Hey, win a couple games, you might be right back in it in this terrible division, Bob. We'll stay in the NFC real quick. Only 6 teams over 500 in the NFC right now, Bob. Lions and Bears tied atop their division 3-2. Packers are actually 500. They had a bye, so they're 2-2. Saints remain undefeated, 5-0. Seahawks fall from the undefeated ranks. Tough loss, another impressive win. We're going to have to start giving props to the Colts, I believe.
Yeah.
Seahawks 4-1. 3 teams in that NFC West over 500. Surprisingly, Arizona Cardinals at
You're close.
3-2. Hey, way back machine. San Fran and the Cardinals 3-2. Seahawks 4-1. So only 6 teams over 500 in the NFC.
Right.
Big surprise there. In the AFC, of course, the talk of the town, the Denver Broncos, who played a thrilling game against the Dallas Cowboys. 4th highest scoring game in the history of the NFL. Thank you for that stat, Peter Green. 51-48 was the final. And of course, only Tony Romo can have one of the greatest games in the history of the NFL.
And blow it.
Over 500 yards passing, 5 touchdown passes, and still blow the game.
Yeah.
As he throws the interception in the final 2 minutes deep in their own end, leads to the gimme chip shot Broncos as time expires, game-winning field goal. 51-48, they lose. Broncos 5-0, right in their division. Our former legal director, Mr. Kevin Gallagher's team, the Kansas City Chiefs, and not only his team, but we will mention Fatty Roots, who's also been hot on the text messaging, as well as Kevin Gallagher, giving me the text messaging, reminding me that their Chiefs are cooking up some good barbecue and some victories in KC. The Chefs getting it done 5-0 right now. I'm looking forward to that matchup. When will they play the Broncos? That's going to be a good one. They have the Raiders right now up next, who are not looking terrible really at 2-3. Chargers also at 2-3 in that division. Other things happening in the AFC. AFC East. Interesting things going on. Last week, I felt like while I was away, I was happy to hear the Patriots went down to Atlanta and put up some points and put up a victory on those Dirty Birds. I'm a little bit less impressed by that victory after seeing those Falcons fall second week in a row in primetime to the Jets last night. On the Monday night game, we should say. As the Jets rally after their defense blew it, which is, pretty typical for this great Rex Ryan defense. A hallmark, giving up a lead in the final 2 minutes. They did it to the Falcons. Only thing is, it was Geno time as he shredded those Falcons defense, and they get the game-winning field goal as time expires. And they move to 3-2, tied for second with the Dolphins, who've now lost 2 straight. After they were off to the 3-0 start. The Dolphins fall to the Saints last week on Monday night and to the Ravens this past week. So Patriots, as we saw those photos in a torrential downpour in Cincinnati, welcome to the rainy jungle. Tom Brady's streak, 52 consecutive touchdown weeks with a touchdown, 52 consecutive games with a touchdown thrown comes to an end. Ironically enough, if he had thrown that touchdown, he would have been at 53. Next up on the schedule, the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees has the record at 54. So if he had gotten to 53, he would have looked to be tying that record at home against those very Saints and Drew Brees, but it is not to be. The Bengals shut them down 13-6. Of course, Gronkowski did not play. It is officially I say, because we've been hearing rumors that he was going to play, leading up to previous weeks. But they say now he is absolutely positively cleared to play. Rob Gronkowski will make his debut against the Saints as the Patriots look to avoid losing 2 in a row and take down the Saints and move them from the unbeaten ranks. Other things surprising, worth noting, Patriots are without Vince Wilfork, who tore his Achilles in that Falcons game last week. Big blow to the defense, but the defense has been playing great, but that is a big blow. Ravens, Browns, Bengals, 3-2 in their division. Colts, we mentioned, 4-1. They beat San Fran and they beat Seattle. Meanwhile, Houston going the other direction. They lose to San Fran and they lose to Seattle. And they are 2-3, and thinking about benching Matt Schaub. Thinking about, also worth mentioning, talking about being benched. How about being fired, Bob?
Well, we had a few of those.
What happened to UConn while I was gone? They lose to Buffalo, and the Paul Pasqualini era comes crashing down at 0-4, 10-18 overall in his third season. They fire him. Yeah. Pasqualini out.
Hey, maybe
Done.
he'll make his make a return to WestCon.
He's looking for work. I don't know. Did not work out well for Paul Pasqualoni. He couldn't recruit. He couldn't get the offense in gear. Defensively, they have been pretty good, but horrible. 41-12 loss at Buffalo, his last game as a UConn coach. Also wanted to get into it on a local note, boxing-wise. Delvin Rodriguez in the primetime HBO fight the other night down in Orlando against Miguel Cotto, the 3-time champion. I had high hopes for this fight. I thought things could go well for Rodriguez, but this was really the first time that he was ever battered in a fight.
Right.
Big disappointing loss, 3rd round TKO as Cotto rained a big, huge hook in the end of the 2nd round that dazed him big time. 18 seconds into the 3rd round, he came out slugging again and put Rodriguez to the mat. Rodriguez said, he hit me with that hook. He thought the ref made an early call by calling it a TKO, didn't really allow him to get up, but he did take a couple big blows late in that 2nd round. And of course, the big shot that put him to the canvas late. So Cotto back in the mix with his new trainer, Freddie Roach, and he certainly looked like a man possessed in that fight. We'll see what happens with Rodriguez moving forward as he tries to recover from really his first real big, knockdown TKO. He's lost fights before, but they were close decisions, controversial decisions. This is the first time he took a beating. We'll see if he can bounce back from that. All right, well, enjoy the rest of the sports weekend coming up. We'll be back live
next week.
Hope we didn't confuse you with any of our tape delay activity. We'll see what happens in these baseball playoffs, and hopefully those Red Sox are advancing against those hated Rays, and we'll see what happens, and we'll get to talk about it.
Hopefully the Pirates win.
Hey, we're looking for the Pirates to win. We'll see what happens with the rest of the stuff.
And maybe the Tigers.
Tigers too. Who knows? I like Oakland in that series, but we'll see, and we'll talk about it all live next week. See you then.